So this is going to be your final one of solving for equations, and it is going to be the most complicated one because it has fractions, which nobody likes, and distribution, which maybe you like. But if you look at this question, you have two fractions, right? There's a fraction here, there's a fraction there, separated by an equal sign, which makes an equation. And you're solving for the x or y's or any other variable. It doesn't matter. That's what you're trying to figure out. Remember, the goal here is that we want your x to be like this. That's our last step, is we want x is equal to something. That's how we have to do a bunch of things to get there. So because we have fractions, we want to get rid of the fractions by sort of cross multiplying. So you can only use cross multiplying if you have two fractions that's separated by an equal sign. So here is my numerator. I'm going to do a cross and multiply that to my denominator. So this is what it's going to look like. My negative 2 is going to be multiplied to 2x minus 4. And you might be wondering, why did I put the negative 2 at the front? Well, because negative 2 is sort of my constant, my sort of single term. So I'm going to put this at the front just to make it easier to understand. Because since they're multiplying, I can basically reverse these order. It doesn't matter, but it's just a simpler way to see the negative 2 because it's a single term in the front of the parentheses. This is also going to be equal to, and then we're going to have the denominator, oops, that totally switched by places, negative 4 times the top, okay, bottom to the top. So that's going to be my plus 4 times 3x plus 6. So that got rid of our fractions, so we need to distribute now. So we're going to distribute by basically multiplying to each of them. And the negative 2 is going to be multiplied to 2x. That's going to be negative 4x because negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. We have an x by itself, so it's going to be x. Next one is going to be negative 2 times negative 4. Negative times a negative is a positive. 2 times 4 is an 8. This is equal to positive 4 times 3x, right? Here is my next one. This is just distributing. So 4 times 3x is 12x. And then plus 4 to plus 6. This is going to be plus 24. Notice how it's getting easier and easier. So the next stage that we need to do is we need to collect all these x's onto one side because they're not on the one side. So we're going to gather them by adding the opposite. So I'm just going to add 4x here because I'm just going to move the x to the right side. Because I'm adding 4x on the left side, I'm going to do that on the right side. And I do the opposite because that cancels out. I still have this positive 8, don't forget that. I have my equal sign, don't forget that. 12x plus 4x, this is collecting like terms because x's are like terms. So 12 plus 4 is 16x plus 24. Notice how it's getting easier and easier. So then now my x's are all on one side, but my numbers are not. So I'm going to move these numbers. This is such a Christmas color, red and green, and subtract negative 4 to both sides. Why am I subtracting 24? Because I have 24 with the x's and I need to get rid of them. So bye, that's gone. But wait a minute, positive 8, negative 24, that's going to be negative, what is it? Negative 16 is equal to 16x. I'm almost there. So 16x is 16 x's. I don't want that. I want 1. So I divide by 16, divide by 16. So x is equal to negative 1. So my answer, final answer here is x is equal to negative 1. If you notice that from the top, that's what I wanted my answer to be, right? X is equal to something. I had a bunch of stuff at the beginning. I broke it down into steps. Finally, all these steps got me to x is equal to 1. So it looks kind of complicated, but try to follow the same steps by getting rid of the fractions, distributing, moving the variables, and then moving the constants onto the other side. That will get you to the x's. Okay, so hopefully that helps you with your distributing with the fractions. That is the most complicated type of questions for solving equations. So hopefully that will help you. See you then.